Breaking news from Dave Naylor, TSN Insider. Deal may not be done, but there is widespread belief around the CFL that Scott Milanovich is the next head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos. So we'll delve right into the CFL news with our Director of Scouting, Craig Smith. Just want to mention, thanks, Clark, for putting this up. Jeremy Palaniuk writing us on the Facebook wall says, Roddy, listening on the bus with the Midget AA Prairie Storm on our way to Calgary for a big tournament. Keep up the good work. So thanks for listening, guys, and good work. Good luck in the tourney. Really appreciate you being aboard today, and safe travels. And then Dale Wagner writes in and says, I kind of got the feeling that John Ryan won't be back with the Riders. Thoughts, gents? Well, Darren, you and Craig chime in here. And I apologize for hogging the interview with John. I'm such a fan, which I am.
You got to do you. Yeah.
He is a pro. He is a pro's pro.
Big time.
And he's just keeping his options open.
Yeah.
And honestly, for the Riders to say, kind of lay their cards on the table and say, John, we want you back. Is it at the same price tag? Don't know. It'd be the highest paid punter coming back in 2020 in the CFL if it was for the same dollar figure. He said, I don't get why anybody would think that he was hinting that he wouldn't be back.
Yeah.
I didn't get that out of that interview.
I didn't either. I didn't get that sense. Get the sense that he wants to come back, that he liked it, that he had a good year. But you got to keep your options open, and that price tag does come into play for sure.
If the NFL was a closed door, this is the place for John Ryan, and it's critical in the Canadian Football League to have field position, and he's an automatic changer of field position. He can launch those, he can make those the kicks, directional punting. He can do it all, and it's a critical. The other thing is he what place kickers are like. When they get that holder and they're real comfortable with that guy. I remember being around Medlock, and he was, he loved having Dressler do it, and he does that, and he does it well. So there's two big parts of special teams, and if it's money, hopefully Jeremy will give some money to keep him. It's an important part of the Canadian Football League.
Well, let's remember a couple things here. You said an interesting thing in the interview that he should be in the NFL, and there are reasons that he's not. Do you care to divulge what they might be?
Money. I'm sure that he was, getting up and that's what happens every year. You're in a new pay grade and new pay scale, and then that's probably, they drafted a kid who's really good. That kid from Texas, I think it was Dixon, I think his name was, and he's a good one for less money. So I would think that he's up there, and he just can't get a job because of that. He can kick. There's no two ways about it. The kid still has. Look at Cameron. Look at Pasaglia. Those guys kick forever, and they were at a high. Louis started to lose it a little bit near the end, but Johnny can kick for a lot longer. So it's a matter. That's what I think about the NFL.
He could probably kick for another 10 years. You're talking about Bob Cameron, Lou Pasaglia.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
He is probably better than all those guys. And now, let's be honest with you, with recovery compared to what it was in those guys' era, he could probably punt to 57, let alone 47.
Yeah,
and he's 38.
He's been taking care of his body for sure. Everybody has a lot better than in the past too. Whether it's the exercise, the workouts, but the nutrition, all of it, recovery.
I would give him 7 more years.
Yeah,
I would say to go till 45. But the big thing is flexibility. You saw Cameron when he punted at the end of his leg still went up there, and his knee would hit his head. For God's sakes, Johnny's the same way. He's a hell of an athlete. He's a flexible kid. And he can still launch it. I mean, it's incredible what he can do at 38 years old when he launches those punts. And it used to drive me up a wall. He outkicked his coverage. Hey, listen, you get that hang time, and he had some hang time. I put the clock on it, and it was 4.5 is getting up there. That's allowing guys to get down there. So,
yeah, you got to get down there.
You got to get down
there. Well,
there.
let's be honest. There was an adjustment. There's no two ways from the way Josh Bartel punted to the way John Ryan punts.
Big time.
Took a long time to get that adjusted. And Taylor writes in all caps, so should I shout it? He says, am I the only one who wasn't in love with all the punt singles? I feel like that's not a category we need to lead in. Hashtag what corner? Well, look, the Riders clearly didn't have a problem with it because they've already offered him to come back. That's part of the adjustment that I'm talking about. And I don't want to go down that road. That is so July. I'll say it again. Do you think John Ryan can't put the ball anywhere on the field that he wants it to be?
He does a great job with that end-over-end thing. I mean, he learned it a long time ago. And when you're on a posted-size football field, he had to do that. Now he's in a bigger field. But I can understand what he's saying, punting for singles. But guess what? Punt for single, you get a point. That ain't coming back. That ain't coming back for 50 yards. So I mean, it's not the worst in the world. But I understand what he's saying.
I get it too.
Yeah.
But the way Craig Dickinson coaches special teams was a 180 from who was handling special teams before Craig Dickinson got here. And unless you're in those meeting rooms, none of us know specifically what John was being asked to do. Mm-hmm. That's just the truth.
That's true.
Moving on to the other news that the Eskimos are going to hire Scott Milanovich as their next head coach, if true. And it's the second time we've heard it. And by the way, if Naylor's reporting it, you can take it to the bank. By the way, all you need to do in this CFL offseason is go to the Twitter feed of Farhan Lalji and Dave Naylor to get all the latest. And so if Scott Milanovich goes there, that's a two-pronged thing. Both positives for Scott, because he's a tremendous head coach. And Clark's telling me Justin Dunk has reported Milanovich there too. That was like a few days ago or last week, right? Dunk's report. He's probably, guys, seeing the writing on the wall in Jacksonville. Another crappy season with the Jags. Probably a house cleaning coming. Doug Marone's the head coach there, right?
Yes.
I just think Milanovich is like, it hasn't worked. I'm going to go back to the CFL.
I think it's a great hire.
He's a great coach.
Yeah, he is a great coach. And, the thought was, okay, well, who the heck are they going to hire? Like, what is it's going to be a guy that's probably has been a coordinator. Now they've got a guy that's been there, done that. He's won. I think it's a great hire for Edmonton.
I think it's a really good hire. I do. And I think you improve a little bit on what you had because you get another good offensive mind.
Yeah.
Right? He's an offensive guy. So you get another offensive mind, I think, with a bit more well-rounded demeanor as a head coach, right? To put it mildly.
I think that's undoubtedly.
And so you can take what Jason Moss did and all those positives offensively, and now you can clean up a little bit of the overall management of that roster and the team as a head coach, and I think they'll be able to take a step forward under Scott Milanovich.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it will. Trevor Harris and Scott Milanovich, that might be a little dangerous duo right there. And I wasn't here when Moss was hired. I think that's a fantastic hire for Saskatchewan. I've been in meetings with Moss. I know what he's like. I know how good of a football guy he is. I know how smart he is. And it's a great hire for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
We spent a lot of time in hour one talking about Chris Jones and how the public has an opinion of him based on what they see versus what he's really like. Do you think Jason Moss gets a bad rap because of the sideline outbursts and tantrums?
Well, it's reality, though, right? I mean, it's, I've said on the show one time, Jason, don't stop doing that. But that's him. He's a fiery guy. He was a fiery player. He would throw an interception. He would be pissed off, and but that's him. And I've seen it. I've been around enough. I've been 25 years at high level football, and I've seen where temper can really mess you up with regards to making decisions on the field. I've seen it. I've seen coaches lose because they're thinking about something else because of they screwed us, and then all of a sudden the game's gone. So I understand that you got to be that even. Kahari Jones, you had him on yesterday. I mean, talk about an even keel guy. He'll get fired up, but he'll still be in control to make those decisions.
It's funny you say temper. I'll say stress.
Yeah.
As a guy who's done significant studying on what stress does to somebody, it actually makes your brain perform differently than it should to a non-stress. Everybody handles it differently, but that's the stress of being a head coach. I don't think as offensive coordinator he's going to be dealing with that amount of stress.
A million people don't understand the head coach and the strain that they have because they're sitting on their couch and I've been there, I've done that, and all that kind of stuff.
Of course, and they got 20 seconds to make these decisions.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. Breaking news from a few people writing in today on the Facebook wall. Sheldon and Estevan Bill in Assiniboia telling us the Estevan Bruins have received the Centennial Cup for 2022. Let's ring it again. Whoa. That's huge news.
That's fantastic.
It is the National Junior A. It's the Junior A version of the Memorial Cup.
Yeah.
So can we get down there to do the show?
By 2022, oh yeah.
We would hope so, right?
I would hope
It used
so.
to be called the Centennial Cup, and then they changed it
To the Royal Bank
and now
Cup.
it's back to Centennial.
It was something else there for a while, wasn't it?
RBC Cup.
So it's back to the Centennial Cup. Hey, kudos, Estevan. Kudos to our friends at Willie's Tap House, because they'll be bumping all week.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe we can do the show from there.
Can you get me tickets?
Of course. Yeah. Well, you got to come with me.
I'll go
You know,
with you.
Smitty's watching my Instagram story all the time, and he's like, man, I got to get to a Hounds game. Man, I got to get to
Oh,
a
I do.
Pats game. You
I
got to
do.
come down.
As soon as I get those shots, I'm ready to roll.
Okay.
All right.
You're good. The Jughead, is watching from Saskatoon. He says it's awesome to see Craig Smith wear a different team hat each week on the show. Nice to see the Longhorns when we were just down in Texas.
That's the Jug?
That
Patrick?
is the Jug.
Talk about personality, man.
Oh yeah.
I saw a bunch of clips. Holy cow. Isn't that guy something?
Personality overload. Actually, the boys brought you back, specifically Darren, a gift. Do you want to grab that, Smitty, and show the crowd if
Absolutely.
you don't mind? This is for all, this is your early Christmas gift
Yeah.
from the Rod Pedersen Show. There you are, Smitty.
Fantastic.
Because you don't have enough mugs at your house.
Yeah, look at that. Isn't that unreal?
That's-
hook 'em,
yeah.
baby, hook 'em.
There you go.
You picked that up in the airport?
Yeah,
Darren?
you know, walking
Wow.
through, and I did
Thank
most
you
of my
so much, man.
I did most of my shopping in the airport. Hey, it's not even close to saying thank you
No,
for all
are
that
you
you do
kidding?
for us. But I saw it like lit up to the display. There was a Longhorns display. It lit up. It was calling me, and I'm like, I got to bring something back for Craig.
That was that's fantastic. That's really good.
Dan Heimbecker checking in today from Yorkton. He said he's missing Houston already. Minus 19 out there before wind chill. Dan is the guy that works outside. There was a few of those guys on our trip, and they enjoyed it. And I want to get to the Alouettes GM job, because it looks like they found their next GM. But before that, Smitty, you enjoyed those football shows with the guys down
It's
there?
fantastic. Like I had posted, I said I could listen to these guys all day. I kind of wished I would have wandered down when I was with the Riders and George was there. I wished I would have wandered down and sat with him and just talk stuff, because it was just so fascinating. Donald Narcisse, you can't get a better guest than the other two guys. And they mentioned about the stupid football player. Anytime my wife is around somebody, even at work or wherever, and they say stupid football player, she jumps on them. She says, quit showing your ignorance, man, because you have no idea how smart these guys are. And that's, you see these guys, these kids, Karan Williams and Garrick, unbelievable. The intelligence that these guys, it just oozes out of them. Same with, I said that about Cortez. He's one of the smartest guys that I've come across. And Donald, I mean, it's just great, fantastic. It was so riveting. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, you know what they should do? Every month they should go somewhere and they should have a show, and wherever, like you say, go down to Chicago and whoever's in that area, Clark will dig them out and have guys. And it was such a fascinating thing on the weekend. I kept on saying, I had the eye surgery last week, so there's no way I was going to do it. But hey, I sure would have loved to have been.
Well, and you would have fit right in.
Oh, I know.
But the thing was, I had never met Garrick Jones
Yeah.
nor Karan Williams before that day.
Well, it looked like you knew him, like you were buddies.
Well, I think it's the brethren of football, I
absolutely.
guess. But when they got talking, I felt bad, because I'm like, whoa, these are no dumb football guys.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
And they laughed.
Yeah.
They weren't even insulted by
No,
it.
they weren't
right?
at all.
And the only thing is, Garrick Jones said, who I've found out from his former teammates is referred to as the commish, because he's a big business, big thinking kind of guy.
Yeah.
He said, wherever you go, I will line you up NFL players and CFL players
that
to come
great?
on your show, wherever you are.
You handed him that football, and he had the football in his hands. That football looked
Looked like a little,
Yeah.
a little direct West yellow football.
It did.
Hey, we're going to break. When we come back, Clark tells me that as per Farhan, the Milanovich hiring is official. So the Eskimo fans that were getting impatient, they saw Paul Lapalisse going to Ottawa. They saw Rick Campbell going to BC. They were starting to worry.
Yeah.
It looks like Brock Sunderland knocked it out of the park here with that. And the Alouettes say that they have or the report is they've got their next GM. We'll talk about that with Smitty. And I wanted to mention, too, from Perkin Taps, the coffee house that provides treats every day to this program. It's so good, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Fantastic.
the chocolate chip cookie, which I try to ignore because my doctor said that I have to lose 30 pounds. I've just said in December, forget about it. We'll talk about that in January.
Forget about it.
Their chocolate chip cookies are like cakes. You understand that, right? They're like an inch and a half thick. They're not cookies.
They would
They're
soak up
cakes.
so much milk.
Oh, yeah. If you're looking for Christmas baking, stop into Perkin Taps. And here's the joke that they wrote on the box today. Did you see it?
I didn't.
Why did Santa send his daughter to college? Anybody? Anybody? Why did Santa send his daughter to college? He wanted to keep her off the North Pole.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.